are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 150 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Abeltank on Twitter/X. Harrison Tarr said he might be here a little later, so we'll be waiting for him. But I am here to talk to y'all about some Auburn athletics going on. Ken, Chad Ivy, thanks for chatting in. War Eagle, and also War Eagle to you as well, Teresa. I got a pretty loaded conversation to talk about today because, of course, we did not have an episode as the news broke about Philip Montgomery's firing. Last year, offense was just off to a terrible start, and it never got really any better. Controversy between who was calling the plays, why wasn't the offense developing, why wasn't Peyton Thorne looking better, all that jazz. And officially, after all of the out of all the mix-ups that Hugh Freeze went through trying to put blame on himself and whatnot, finally threw Phil Montgomery under the bus after the bowl game loss and let him go. And now we're going to be going through, from what I've been hearing, is going to be a pretty soon announcement about who is going to be the next coordinator. And there's been a couple of names thrown around that I've been hearing a lot about. The favorite I've been hearing the most about is, of course, Derek Nix from Ole Miss, the wide receivers coach / associate head coach in Hottie Toddy land. P-Pass, thanks for stopping by. Student Scales, War Eagle as well. But what I'm seeing is that the offensive coordinator going to next year isn't going to be a play calling coordinator, probably going to be more of the recruiter side of things to kind of give Hugh Freeze a chance to game plan and focus more on the play calling side of things rather than the recruiting. Because there were a couple of games this year, I'm trying to think of all of them. I know New Mexico State was one and Maryland was one where it seemed that Hugh Freeze's focus was more on the recruiting aspect rather than, of course, the game plan, and those resulted in some embarrassing losses. But Derek Nix is currently the favorite. I've heard a lot of names thrown around as well. Damian Craig is a name that I've heard people throwing around. I don't think there's any legitimacy to it. I think it's just what people want to hear. A guy who, of course, has ties to Auburn. He played quarterback. He was a great quarterback for Auburn in the 90s. And kind of, there's some bad blood between him and some of the fans. But after A&M, after he got rushed out of there after the Jimbo Fisher firing, I heard a lot about him potentially being a coordinator, but I don't think it will happen. Other person I've been hearing about is Kent Austin, quarterback coach for Auburn. Herbert, getting a promotion again. Just something along those lines. Those are pretty much the three names I've been hearing the most about. I'm the most excited about if Derek Nix were to come by. He has been a integral part for Ole Miss for a long, long time. His coaching experience, of course, he was a grad assistant at Southern Miss in 2003. He was a running backs coach at Southern Miss from 2004 to 2006. Then he was a quality control coach for the Atlanta Falcons in 2007. And then from 2008 to 2019, he was the running back coach for the Ole Miss Rebels. And then, of course, he was the wide receivers coach from 2020 to 2021. And last year, or 2022 to 2021, he was associate head coach and wide receivers coach. So he's been at Ole Miss since 2008. A guy who's been all over the place, or hasn't been all over the place. He's only been in Ole Miss, but he was there during the Hugh Freeze tenure. So a guy who Hugh Freeze knows pretty well, more so than Philip Montgomery, because it was just a mesh of not really knowing what to expect from a guy you've never really coached with before. I know the preseason SEC media days, it was more about Hugh Freeze talking about finding a guy who can mesh well, who has the same scheme, but the different words to go along with it. But throughout the season, it definitely just was it was not a good mesh from the start. Ant Robinson, what's up, man? Staying loopy, feeling loopy. But I think Derek Nix is the favorite. I think if we were to hear a name in the next 24-ish hours, it's going to be Derek Nix. Just a guy who's a very good recruiter, has been a good recruiter for Ole Miss, again, since 2008. And he's just been a very integral part of both the Hugh Freeze, the Matt Luke, and the Lane Kiffin administrations. He's been there through it all. And it'd be a great pickup for this team as well, because I think overall you just find a guy who can do what you need them to do. The staff was, again, wasn't very well induced into the whole scheming around who they're going to play next, but finding a guy who can actually, you could send off on to recruit while you are game planning. That is probably the best situation. Also can help out with the wide receivers and Marcus Davis. So it won't hurt to have two coaches coaching up a position who have one of your worst positions from the previous year. Trey Bonner, what up? War Eagle as well. But it'd be interesting to see. I've been hearing that we can hear about who's going to get hired in the next, again, whenever it got announced. I think the War Report, I think Mike G and Ike as well both said it was going to be a pretty wild 48 to 72 hours. So still waiting to see how likely it is he gets named anytime soon. If it's not Derek Nix, I don't really know where they're going to head next. And it seemed like Philip Montgomery last year was more of your plan A, plan B, and your plan C all failed, and you kind of had to get someone quick. It did leave Dylan Wade a little upset. I did see that. He definitely sent out I'm trying to remember what the tweet was about losing Phil Montgomery because that was his former head coach at Tulsa. Connie, War Eagle, to you as well. What's up, Chris? I think interesting conversations in terms of going to this hire. I definitely hope so. I need this to be the continuity that goes into starting a new I almost say franchise, starting a new culture at a program like this. You need the continuity. Now that like Alabama is where they are, it doesn't really matter who's the coordinator because Nick Saban's been there for 15 years. So you know what you're going to get from Alabama every year. You're going to get a great team no matter who the coordinators are. But you're going to need to find a guy who will mesh well, who will call the same plays. I think you should need to find someone who has the same lingo as Hugh Freeze. And Derek Nix, again, is like a perfect example of that because he's worked for Hugh Freeze before. It'd be a pretty nice addition to have someone who can stay with the program throughout. And again, it's just the same thing as if you want to build a national championship contending program, you need the continuity to get there. And whenever you have to cut dead weight this early, it's not a good look. But Phil Montgomery was definitely a coordinator that I expected to get fired sooner rather than later. Secret. Ant Robertson, new DC. I don't know how likely we are to fire Ron Roberts. I know there was some discussion about maybe both coordinators are going to be gone. I don't really think I don't know how likely. I've not heard anything about Roberts yet. I'm definitely not the most well adversed because, again, I don't work for the athletics department. I think Ron Roberts did a great job in year one. I think he's the best coordinator hire out of the two. Well, let me rephrase that. Best non-retention coaching hire that Hugh Freeze made from the past offseason because we saw an immediate incline from where the defense was last year, where it was this year. The interceptions went up, turnovers went up, sacks went up, tackles. The defense was making stops where they weren't last year. I don't know how likely it is. I want to say it's not very likely because Ron Roberts, again, is very good. And also this defense was really good whenever it had a chance to be that. But I don't think Ron Roberts is gone. It'd be hard for me to believe it right now. Of course, anything can happen. But I like where Ron Roberts stands, especially because the defense was just so much better than the offense. War Eagle, Tim Tool, Maine, Taylor. I get it. War Eagle, Charles, Trey Bonner, Charles Kelly is already hired. There we go. Charles Kelly is already hired. I think if Ron was leaving, wouldn't he got hired first? I think Charles Kelly is also the kind of going to be the same line as the offensive coordinator. I think he's he's going to be an associate defensive coach. He's probably going to be working alongside the cornerbacks, alongside where, where Wesley McGriff left. You're going to have Charles Kelly come along, kind of work alongside Etheridge. And Kelly's also going to be the recruiting coordinator alongside Zach Etheridge, getting a great recruiter and a good defensive mind in Charles Kelly. So that's why I think there's beefing up the defensive staff and then trying to fix what they messed up with in the offensive side of things. War Eagle Trevor, what about Keionte Scott? It's also on Keionte's entered the portal. What's going on with that? Let's see. This is an episode, so just a tweet, or it means it's gone. There we go. There we go. Tweet. But yeah, I'll get to Keionte leaving. That's got more to do with McGriff leaving. McGriff going to A&M left uncertainty with Keionte Scott. From what I've been hearing, he wants to come back. He wants to come back to Auburn next year. He's already made the whole video about returning, and it was like a whole thing. But I don't know how exactly likely it is. I think it's more likely that he returns than he leaves. I think, just because it's not really he loves Auburn. Auburn loves him, kind of thing. It's kind of what happens whenever you lose your coach. You kind of left confused by what happened. But he went. He's in the portal. I do think it's likely he might return. But again, if he doesn't, Keionte Scott's not a person I have very bad feelings about. To wish him well wherever he goes, because whoever gets him is going to get a dog. But it seems to be about McGriff. Is that Ron Roberts is so weird? There was some talk about Ron Roberts and McGriff not really meshing too well. That was kind of difference in how they think. It's kind of old school and new school kind of mix up between those two. So that kind of left the whole opening with McGriff. Zach Etheridge interviewed for, I want to say the Louisiana job. It was, I think, the ULM job Etheridge interviewed for before they went with someone else. It could have just been that. I do think Roberts had a great scheme. I looked back and I see the Teresa put about the Dustin episode on Up Tempo podcast. I've not seen a tweet from Ron Roberts that have told me that. Also, I don't have his post notifications on, so I wouldn't have seen that off the bat. But I've not heard anything about Roberts being gone. And of course, I didn't hear anything about Philip Montgomery being gone whenever he was. I just assumed. Likely Robbie returns too. I heard the coordinator deal with has a factor, and for Zach it was Troy. Was it Troy? I swore it was ULM. Tweet was deleted. Okay, so I just missed out on that entirely. Let's see, it's in the portal. I not heard word about Robbie returning. Robbie was just on a visit to Utah a couple of days ago, and he took some pretty cool looking pictures, might I add. The snow pictures are my favorite kinds of recruiting pictures, and Robbie took one with Utah. I don't think Robbie returns because I think he had a falling out with the head coach. Falling out with Freeze kind of deal. Because it kind of happens. I don't think Robbie. I think Robbie's gone. It's sad. I know. I have his jersey. No one's more upset about than I am, but he is probably going to. I think Utah is the place I would like him to go the most. But he has a visit. He had a visit with Utah, and he has a visit scheduled to South Carolina. So I don't know. That's why he interviewed for both jobs. Yeah, there we go. He had me confused for a second. I was like, I just read this not too long ago. Let's see, Trey. I think Hugh actually wants to kind of help at the OC job. But my question is, why not help your OC in his first year in the SEC game by game until he was ready to handle it by himself? Well, it's kind of the same line of you hired an experienced coach, which you kind of expect him not to need, your hand held all the way through the season. Because there was times where you could tell who was calling the plays. If the offense seemed to be going well, it looked like it was a Hugh Freeze-led offense. If it was kind of staggering and looking a little anemic at times, that looked like it was Phil Montgomery. And then at times they both looked like they just didn't know it. It was either Phil Montgomery's offense was going off and then it wasn't, or same thing with Hugh Freeze. It seems like it was a Tower of Babel situation where Freeze's lingo and Montgomery's lingo never meshed into a competent-looking offense. And that was the issue that they had all season. That was the issue everyone noticed if you watched any of the games, that it was very difficult to sit there and watch those two call plays. So I think Hugh Freeze going into this year as the play caller, and he's going to be hiring a coordinator to recruit at the offensive coordinator job title. I love Robbie. I don't see him coming back. I kind of don't blame Robbie. I still love Freeze the coach, but he did Robbie dirty by not letting him compete as QB1. I'm a second in command for the Robbie fan club. Ann Robertson is my vice president, if everyone wasn't aware. Susan Scales, what's up with the Jason Jones tweet? I'm going to get that one in a second because that's brand new. So I got added to kind of the bottom of the rundown. It's all that tweet punched me in the face as soon as we got everything together to go record. I'll get to it in a second. But just to finish off with the Keionte Scott, so it seemed like McGriff and Roberts didn't mesh well. So McGriff went to A&M, and Keionte Scott entered the portal. Again, I think it's very likely that Keionte comes back, but I do wish him the best of luck with whatever he chooses to do. And other news, here we go. I'll go ahead and get to it. Jason Jones tweeted out not too long before we got to it. I'll go ahead and just knock it out. Just the date. It was January 1st, 3 p.m. I have no earthly idea what this could potentially even possibly be. From my knowledge, is it too late to enter the portal? Not enter the portal. It's not. To announce it, no. Is it too late to enter the draft? Because I'm not too sure if it is or not. It's either a draft announcement or it's a portal announcement, or some other third thing. That's where I'm at. People are leaning towards a portal announcement, or I guess it could also be him returning as well. But I don't know. This is going to be something I've got to sit on for a little bit and kind of ask around and look around and see if anybody else knows what it could possibly be. I wish I had a better answer. I don't know Jason Jones personally. If I did, I would ask. But I do think it's either portal, draft, return, or maybe some cool NIL deal, something along those lines. It was one of those four. If you're wanting to cut this clip into it, just make it seem like I picked which one of those when I get it. If it's one of those four things, then I got it right. And Tarr is on his way. The internet just cut out his apartment. So that was the issue going on. But yeah, Jason Jones, don't really know what the tweet's about. Hopefully we'll hear more about it as it goes along. And of course we'll be ready around that time tomorrow to get that graphic ready, because that was just a wild tweet that just came up out of nowhere. And another thing's going on with the team. Marcus Harris has accepted his invite to the Senior Bowl. So 3 players from last year, all in different positions of their career process at Auburn. One of them in the portal, one of them's going off to the NFL, and the other one we don't know yet. But there we go. And Tarr is asking me to send him the code on the phone. So give me 1 second. So I can give him the code to this. Sorry for the dead air. There we go. All right. Trey Bonner, what kind of role do you personally think fits best at the OC job? What kind of role? For what kind of coach? That's my question back to answer that question, because it just depends on the coach. If you have someone like Nick Saban, who is going to be your typical team manager kind of head coach, it's better to have a play calling coordinator. But sometimes if you're more of a offensive minded coach, for Hugh, I think recruiting, getting a coordinator who can recruit better than I don't want to say recruit better than play calls, but have a guy who can do some of the developing of players while also doing some of the recruiting of players. That way, Hugh is working side by side for all of those, but he can focus more on the game plan side of things and calling the plays. And if Hugh ever wants to get a step back, he needs to get a play calling OC who kind of fits his mold, which is what we didn't see last year. But it just kind of depends. I don't know how likely I am to support Hugh Freeze fully taking over play calling, because I've seen I like Hugh Freeze's play calling scheme. I like the RPO. I like it a lot. But I've just seen so many coaches just call the plays and then it just all fails. The issue with that as well is once you fail, at calling plays, it's kind of very hard to put the blame on something else, because if the play calling isn't working, the offense is kind of running out of steam all through all these drives, the blame kind of falls on you, again, you alone. And as a coach, you have to take the blame for that. But overall, it's like that. I actually think Hugh wants a dog at OC. Juice Kiffin is available. He's hired Jake Thornton already from Ole Miss. He's looking at Derek Nix. Might as well take Juice Kiffin as well. He's got a fun Twitter page, so why not? But I think I don't really understand. I don't not understand. I don't see a world where Hugh Freeze goes after a guy who calls plays, because I do think that he noticed because we noticed, and if the fans notice, then the coach noticed as well. I think he understands that the play calling abilities will need to fall on him if he wants to run the offense and the program that he wants to run. Eventually, if he has a disciple under him that he can call plays, like he can, maybe hire someone who can call plays as an offensive coordinator that way. But as you're building a program, it probably is best for him to get a recruiting coordinator for the OC job. Other news tidbits for football: Walker White had himself a day at the All-American Bowl yesterday. He had 2 touchdowns. Also, Walker and I heard Amaris Williams played very well. DeMarcus Riddick had a couple of PBUs. I didn't hear much about Kinsley Faustin and DeAndre Carter, but I've heard everyone pretty much played very well. 5 players in that UA All-American Bowl tied a program record for most in that game. Trey Bonner, do you think Peyton starts without getting quarterback in the portal? I don't know how likely it is that I'm still on the fence on where Auburn stands on the whole portal quarterback situation. I don't know if Auburn's going to keep Peyton Thorne. I don't know if we're going to go after whatever's left in the portal. I don't know if Holden Garner's just going to be up out of nowhere. And there's Harrison Tarr. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, sorry, I'm fighting a fist fight. I'm in a fist fight with my Wi-Fi right now. So if I cut out again, then goodbye and good riddance. I love you all, but this has been a monstrosity. It's been fine all day until 7 o'clock.
Fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, but I don't know where we stand on the whole Peyton Thorne situation. I don't know what the quarterback situation is, just a mystery. And at some point, we got to figure out a way. Auburn's got to figure out a way to make it to where we don't have this conversation every single offseason. Because if you missed it already, Caden Salter's out of the portal. So the one quarterback target we thought we had is gone. The Auburn thought they had is gone. But it's an enigma, if you will. Paul Jones, what about offensive tackle from Mississippi State? He was on a visit. I haven't really heard much about the visits. I don't have On 3 Plus or whatever it's called. So I just kind of see they're visiting. I assume it went well. Trevon, what's up with Harrison's thinking about starting my Auburn channel soon?
What's up, Trey?
What's up, Harrison? Okay, I was like,
yeah, I was about to say, actually, Trey's being kind and understanding that my internet was going out. So that's very, thank you, Trey. Let me throw in a little input here on the whole portal conversation. I've been trying to keep up on my phone, like streaming the cast, but it's also been cutting out. So it's been super fun. So who knows how long I'm going to be here? I might be here for the rest of the show. I might be here for 10 minutes. But bear with me. Peyton Thorne is your quarterback in 2024. That is as simple as that. The fact that there's not a ton of smoke behind Salter, and it's kind of short-lived.
He's out of the portal. So.
Yeah, exactly. The removal from the portal when there wasn't a ton of smoke while he was in there, right? It says all it needs to say. I think that he was going to stick to his guns here. I know that a lot of people don't want Peyton Thorne, but there's also, we talked about this earlier in the week, Dylan, this element. Excuse me, I'm battling a head cold too. I'm just going through the ringer right now, guys. This element of a lot of dominoes fall if you go get a guy. And I don't know that that's necessarily that quarterback from. You're already going through a coaching transition. You mentioned that earlier, Dylan, which, by the way, just my personal opinion, I think the collaborative opinion of everyone is for the best. That's going to be an interesting hire, and I know you were talking about that. I actually heard the majority of that, but should be very that'll be really interesting. It's a domino effect in trying to make sure you keep your guys intact as much as you can, because Hugh knows that year one, all speculation. All speculation. All right, I just want to make sure that is crystal clear as I double check my audio settings, because I don't think I switched over. My mic's about to sound a whole lot better, guys. You guys are going to understand me
better. How about now?
There you go.
There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm telling you, I'm going through the ringer. But with speculation, like I said, I think Hugh Freeze can look and say there are so many things we can change. A lot of things that need to be changed year to year, and there needs to be that tangible process in terms of finding the right guys in the right places. Dylan, you mentioned somebody that can be a lead recruiter. Let's also not fall negligent on the fact that it was very clear when that coaching staff was more focused on recruiting than they were on game planning. You got to be able to find a guy, that, especially at this point in time in your tenure, that you can say, I need you to handle, game planning and play calling, things of that nature. Or if I'm going to play call, here's how I want you to install this for me week to week, because I've got to be able to recruit and make sure that we don't have that talent drop off. So I think he's living. I've said this earlier in the week, and I would not want to be in Hugh Freeze's shoes right now. But that quarterback room is no exception. I think it's kind of playing this metaphorical teeter-totter, right? You want to make sure that you're making the right amount of change to lift the team up, but you also don't want to make so much change that you sit down on that teeter-totter and fling the rest of the team off, and you've lost your team. There's got to be some kind of balance, and you've got to make sure you keep some kind of continuity.
As his internet,
a bunch of guys that are not on the planes yet that you expect to be part of your future plans, but your guys right now are not necessarily something that not necessarily, are absolutely not something you can lose, because year one you get some slack. Year two, Auburn fans are going to expect to look a lot more competitive and be able to plug some holes that you weren't able to plug in year one. Whether that's fair or not is, I'll let you folks decide that are hanging out here on the stream, and I get both sides of that argument. I want you guys to know that, seriously. There's got to be tangible improvement, and I think Freeze knows that. He's been around the block. He's understood that. He's been through this process. He's not new to this. So playing the whole portal quarterback, especially late window portal quarterback game, and then trying to cover up what you said about, and go back on what you said about, Peyton Thorne being the guy, I don't think that's a headache Hugh Freeze wants. I think that Thorne is, for lack of a better term, Dylan, good enough in terms of what Hugh Freeze wants to do in year two. And he may truly believe that there's a skill set within Peyton Thorne that he can develop over the course of an offseason, which is on the table. I mean, that's on the table. Like, that's not like crazy to think about. Connie said Tarr's Wi-Fi woke up today and chose violence. Connie, my Wi-Fi has been awesome all day until I needed it to be. But you're so right. Like, it must have taken a nap and then woke up and chose violence and been cranky because it was working on Red Zone today. So I don't know what was going on. We had Red Zone and 2 Xboxes going on. I don't know what's happening. It just hates me. But that's my input. I don't think I got too off topic there, Dylan. I just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, no, not at all. Because also you had on just the fact that I would go straight into Paul Jones, because there's other questions out here about who we think get the portal next. I'm still the portal right now. It seems like Hugh Freeze understands what to do to build a program, which hopefully would. A portal acquisition that I think that we're the most likely to get is AJ Harris. I think that he's the most likely I've heard recently. I know it's kind of gotten quiet, but I do think that Auburn is still the favorite to land him. And a position of need right now, if Keionte Scott stays in the portal for that. And then Teresa, Salter's major wasn't offered by Auburn, so it was short-lived. I love the yearly announcement that a portal quarterback target did not have the major he needed at Auburn to transfer. It's my favorite annual tradition.
I'd also like for us to not say that one too loud. Teresa, I'm not taking it away. Sounds a little tampery with how short Salter was in of a time Salter was in the portal. So let's just say that it wasn't that Salter decided he wanted to return and not then weighed his options and decided it was best for him. The last thing we want to do is get into another tampering allegation, but the major, I did read that about his major.
Yeah, and I also got Billy McGee with a double parter here. Hugh needs to call the plays, and believe he will go further because if you're going to go out, why not do it with your offensive plays and schemes? Just makes sense. Agree.
Ryan.
And last one, I love that Talia is back in the mix into the portal because I swear I wasn't Talia in college, but like before we got there, before we got to college, wasn't Talia at Alabama before we even got to Auburn?
I think Talia was no. I think Talia was a freshman our sophomore year, which would have been 2019.
I swear he's been in college for like 8 years.
He's
out of. I've heard he's out of eligibility.
Yeah, Trey and Connie both confirmed 2019 was Talia's first year of eligibility, plus a red shirt, which would mean if he applies for eligibility, it would only be an extended one year extension, which is mad weird, by the way. If you're going to sit out was he banged up? Did I miss that? Yeah. And or maybe he was banged up and they just didn't say anything about it, which is on the table if he was weighing out the NFL draft. Let's not forget, like, that's the time you can be quiet and be like, hey, dude, get healthy. Like that's, and that wouldn't bother me either. I would do that for my players too, just being transparent, like just being real. For those games that it doesn't matter if you don't report their injuries, like who cares? Just opt out. just opt out, and we'll get you set up on a pro day. That doesn't shock me. I'd be interested to see if he gets accepted for another year of eligibility. I mean, like I could get accepted for eligibility right now. So like, I don't know.
I still thought it was weird that he opted out of the bowl game and didn't go to the draft. That was what I thought was weird. Because why are you doing that? Because I don't think he was injured. I know that he had like injuries throughout the year, but I don't think he was injured enough to opt out of the bowl game. Which it's not like they needed him in the bowl game regardless. But
yeah,
neither here nor there. But last tidbit, because I think we're still on the whole portal conversation. Just want to send out a huge congratulations to
Talia Tagovailoa, early enrolled at Alabama in 2019, transferred 4 years at Michigan, started 3 of those 4, played and only had 75 pass attempts. I don't know how many snaps in 2020.
Maryland.
Maryland. Sorry, did I say Michigan?
You said Michigan.
I'm sorry, Maryland. Hi, this is how thrown off my Wi-Fi's got me. Maryland. I'm looking at the damn Maryland logo too. So yes, good catch, guys. Good catch, Trey. Good catch, Connie. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I just want to throw a huge congratulations to former Auburn defensive tackle Derek Brown. The Carolina Panthers did not have a very happy season. Finished 2-15. Great year to be a Panthers fan. But
you like draft pick is a good year. Actually, no, it's not.
we don't have a first round draft pick. So yeah, we gave it to the Bears.
You see, I caught myself mid-sentence saying that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, but huge congratulations to Derek Brown because today he broke the record for most tackles in a season by a defensive tackle in NFL history. 103 tackles.
He's him. I mean, like, he's just him. Like,
he's so good, and if we trade him, I'm going to be so pissed.
Trey, to answer your question, last Tagovailoa question we'll touch base on. I'm just going to go and say yes. I do think he'll get another year of eligibility because I don't think it really matters anymore, and that's only asking for one extra with the NCAA. I mean, 19 would have been a red shirt. 4 years at Maryland is what we just determined. I mean, he should have a COVID year. I
just want to say he's a big name in the sport just because of his last name.
Oh, he's a revenue generating name too. So
he's going to get he's not going somewhere closer to get closer to family or anything. So the NCAA is going to give him the eligibility because he has a name and doesn't have a real reason for getting it. So
no, I mean he could argue COVID allegedly. I don't know. We'll see. He could also just say, "Hey, I'm gonna play another year at Maryland." And they'll be like, "Okay, cool. Here's your eligibility," and then suddenly he will be in the portal.
It is now 2024. The NCAA needs to cut the COVID years. We are now 4 years past COVID. Let's cut the COVID. Alan Bowman should not be playing another year of collegiate football.
Folks, I heard a rumor that Bo Nix has another year of eligibility. I'm kidding. Stetson Bennett will return to UGA. Along with Hunter Renfrow is headed back to Clemson.
Well, we can't use Hunter Renfrow. He's actually in the league. So
we're giving him extra eligibility. I mean, come on, like.
Everyone's got eligibility. You get eligibility. You get eligibility. Everyone gets eligibility.
I will be returning to Auburn for my 5th year. I'm requesting them to give me an academic scholarship so I can pursue my MBA.
Well, Tar, before we get into the basketball, because I think we've now gone full off the rails.
Sorry.
Tomorrow ends the college football season. The national championship, of course, the number 2 Washington Huskies, the 14-0 Washington Huskies take on the number 1 team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan currently a 5-point favorite in NRG Stadium.
Yes. So I'm going to ask chat to help me out here. Everybody hanging out here on the live stream, I'm going to degenerately gamble on this game because I think this could be a really fun one. I'm taking the line keeps moving up for Michael Penix total yards over and under, and I'm still taking the over because I think he throws the best deep ball in America. I bet against him in the not degenerately. When I say degenerately, I'm just going to have like a $20 devious parlay. So I'm listening to any suggestions from you guys. I'm talking like disgustingly devious. You think an offensive lineman's going to score? Tell me, I'll throw it the parlay. But every sign points to Michigan here, Dylan. It really does. I think they could cover. I think that this group's defense is just significantly better than what we saw Washington face in Texas. I think that the winner of that Rose Bowl was probably going to win the national championship regardless. Then again, I watched Michael Penix prove me wrong before. I see you throwing up the UW. I know that you're rocking with UW in terms of, hoping for their success, but I like Michigan. I like Michigan close. I do think that they can cover. That being said, I am fighting the internal urge to bet Washington to cover. At least bet Washington money line. So I like Michigan, but I love Washington on the books. I like Michigan in the game, but
your heart tells you Washington, but your brain's telling you Michigan.
No, my brain tells me Michigan. My pocketbook says let's go make some money on Washington. No Dylan, no UW from Teresa. That is
I can't.
That's tough.
Here's the thing. I didn't like whoever won the Rose Bowl in this. I've bet against Michael Penix 3 times this year already. There's no way I'm gonna fall under the spell to do it again.
The weakest link said Penix has made me a believer out of me after seeing that Texas game. That guy's legit. I mean, he is awesome. He is so fun. I didn't get to watch enough of him like in real time. Like I think that this is my brain operating in just a smooth brain. So deal with me. It is more impressive to watch a quarterback do these things in real time than it is to watch highlights. I said what I said. All right. I think in my brain, when I watch them like do it in a big moment, like live, right? It's like, wow, that's way cooler than any highlight tape could be. Like this guy's awesome. Teresa said, my heart says no. I'm a WSU Cougar, and my hate for UW is almost as much as my Auburn mom heart hates Bama. Also respect for you taking the hatred over of Bama over UW. That's awesome. But in an RIP the Apple Cup in theory. But
I think they're still playing.
Yeah, I think that
it'll no longer be a Pac-12 matchup.
Yeah, it should be a Tupac game. Anyways, yeah, I'm taking Michigan as much as it hurts, and I'm going to generally gamble. Please put your Michael King said Michigan by 10. I'm not betting Michigan by 10. But if you give me an anytime touchdown, I like Blake Corum feels like a layup. Give me some anytime touchdowns, folks.
If I'm going the edge here, Michigan gets the edge for running back, and I think offensive line, offensively.
I was about to say, in their entire defense.
Yeah, and the defense, yeah. Rome Odunze is so freaking good.
Oh, I'm betting him anytime touchdown too, just so you know.
You have to.
I'm cooking up a parlay live for you guys.
I have spent too long betting against Michael Penix. I bet against him in Indiana. I bet against him at the start of his Washington career. I bet against him this year. I thought he was going to lose twice to Oregon this year. I thought he was going to lose to Texas. I've done it too much. I like Washington.
Oregon once, at least.
I like Washington. I like them close. But I do. This is gonna be for as bad as last year's was. I think this one's gonna be just equally as good on the spectrum of things, because I think we're getting finally the most balanced national championship matchup we've gotten since 2017, Bama Georgia. I'm trying to think of,
Yeah. I was discussing that might be the this excuse me, I almost said Final Four, but same concept. This CFP has been very reminiscent of that CFP in terms of wow, this has been so much fun down to the bowl games, down to the specific bowl games. This has got that Bama Georgia Part 1 national championship kind of written all over it. And that could make for a super fun game. So Teresa said, kids over myself, respect, mad respect. My dad still cheers for Tech over Auburn any day of the week. So
yeah, UW has been counted all season and have a perfect record, but if Michigan loses, they couldn't stop the Huskies from getting off the field. Which I completely agree. I think Michael Penix is the X factor here.
Oh, absolutely.
And Teresa, it's hard to stay as involved as a Washington State fan living in SC country when I can't watch as many games. Plus, as a mom, I got to support my kids over myself. There's that. I mean, I've had a couple of games where I've rooted against the team just because I have a little bit of a hatred towards them. I do it fairly often.
Yeah. See the SEC championship and the Rose Bowl for me. All right, let's keep rolling. I know we're about to talk basketball, and I'm gonna talk for 2 minutes here. Give our little ad spiel really quickly, Dylan, so we don't lose any viewers because I don't want them to get bored. And then I'm gonna roll in and let you cook for basketball, and I'll explain that here in a second, guys. All right, we're wrapping up our football segment right here on the College Loop live stream, the Sunday evening live stream. 62 of you beautiful people hanging out with us right now as we speak. Share the link with a friend, bring them on to the show. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun. Give us your questions. Give us your thoughts, concerns, strongly held beliefs, and demands. And while you guys are doing that, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're hanging out with us. Stay up to date with everything going on right here at the College Loop podcast. That is the number one way you guys can help us grow. That is by hitting subscribe so we can keep pushing the envelope and keep doing all the fun stuff that we do right here on the show. Also, shout out to the guys over at the War Report for giving us the platform to do so. If you guys aren't listening if you guys are listening back on this and you're not on the live stream, that's no worries. Make sure that you give us 5 stars and a thumbs up on whatever streaming platform of choice that may be. This one's for the folks that aren't listening right now, folks. So bear with me for a second. We appreciate you guys. Share the show with a friend so they can join in and become a looper themselves. Don't know how much it means to us. You guys have no idea. Your support amazes me every single day and inspires us to continue to work hard and give you guys the product, the best product we can provide and present to you guys. Moving forward, if you guys want to continue to support the show, you can go to thewarreport.com. That link is in the description on any of our shows and pick up your very own College Loop War Report co-branded t-shirt, the Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. It's on sale for $25. Like I said, at thewarreport.com. Comes with 5 different colorways. Most comfortable shirt you will ever own. If you pick up your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. That's Feelin' without the G on whatever social media platform makes you the happiest. And tag us in it. We'll throw up your selfie of you and your shirt on the next show, live stream, whatever that may be. Thank you guys so much for your continual love and support. We're going to roll into Auburn basketball right here on the College Loop. Guys, I need to come clean and make an absolutely depressing confession. Did not get to watch either of the games this weekend. And I'm sorry. You listen, I'll do better. I am at my job. I work at Wesleyan College. It's an all-girls school in Wesleyan, Georgia, in Macon, Georgia. If you want to check us out, that's at Wesleyan College on Instagram. That's my job. My job, my work, my shameless plug. So my day job. I am also the voice of the Wolves. So anytime any of our teams have a game, I am their PA announcer. Unfortunately, they tipped at 2:00 on Saturday. So I just was unable to watch the Auburn-Arkansas game. So I'd actually like to tell you guys that you're welcome. You can thank me now. Since I didn't watch, that's what you guys got to watch. I've not gone back and been able to watch film yet because, to be honest with you, after I got done, I played golf. That's just how that went. Just trying to cut loose and enjoy my weekend. But, as the voice of the Wolves, and I am also our production team. So anything that goes on, any of our marketing stuff that goes on in-game is also my job. And I did put that on my own plate, but it's fun and I love it. And I love our student athletes. So I'm sorry. I'm going to let Dylan cook here and kind of break down Auburn's emphatic win, biggest loss for Arkansas in Bud Walton history. So since that opened in 1997, correct me if I'm wrong.
Would know.
Somewhere between 93 and 97. It's in that 4-year range, and it's kind of broad, but I can't remember which. I think it's 97. I can look it up real quick. Auburn absolutely handed it to Arkansas. And to my understanding, took care of the work on the glass. Janai Broom was building a stock to become a borderline lottery pick. Dylan, I'm going to let you cook from there.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch. I missed out in the first half because I can't lie. I was hanging out with my girlfriend and I kind of forgot what was going on. But I did watch the entire second half. And I caught up on everything, the film and everything. This game was a fun watch. And again, if you're not, also to go back on what Tarr said, if you're also watching the stream, give us a like. We only got 4 likes for the stream right now. So not begging for likes, but I'm asking for them, if you know what I mean.
Politely.
Yeah, politely. But Auburn took down Arkansas. 83-51. And let me go ahead and tell you, the worst loss Eric Musselman has ever suffered during his time at Arkansas is 15 points. And before then, the worst loss Arkansas ever had at Bud Walton was 30 points at, I believe they said it was 2012 Billy Donovan, Florida, which I believe that team, I don't want to make any speculations, but did that team go to the national championship, the 2012 Florida team?
I think so.
So there you go. But Auburn did take the win by 32 points, led by none other than Chad Baker-Mazzara. Someone that me and
Kentucky won 2012.
Dang it! I was about to have a nice little cut in right there. Yeah, but Chad Baker-Mazzara has proven to be one of the best pickups of this offseason. Him and Aiden Holloway definitely battling out. I know Colin Beyersdorf does completely agree. The other co-host of the show does agree that Chad Baker-Mazzara is the best pickup Bruce Pearl had during the offseason because he put up 16 points off the bench, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 2 for 3 from the three-point line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And I know there was like 2 technical fouls during this game. I don't know where exactly it came from, but I'm pretty sure Chad Baker-Mazzara probably got one of them because it just seems right. But this game was choppy from the start. And you understand that Arkansas and Auburn aren't really a rivalry in football per se. You can take them or leave them. But in basketball, these two teams hate each other. Arkansas basketball fans, Auburn basketball fans do not like each other one bit whatsoever. And Auburn had a curse in Bud Walton Arena for the longest time. I think it was 4 years. 4 or 5 years since Auburn last won in Bud Walton.
Been a long time.
It's been a bit too long of a time, but it also helps whenever Janai Broome scores 14 points in the second half, all from the paint. They could not stop him from the paint whatsoever. He also threw up 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks as well for Janai Broome. It was a complete game all around. Aiden Holloway wasn't really a factor scoring wise, but was able to get 5 rebounds as well. Just the 3-point line wasn't really his friend in Bud Walton Arena, and it's at times it's not really Auburn's friend at all, and in that stadium. But from start to finish, Auburn. I don't want to say start from. I want to say that the 10-minute mark of the first half to the end of the game.
That's the spark notes that I read.
Yeah, Auburn had it in the bag. It was a close game. I know I got some text messages. I got one from my friend Bark, friend of the program, who said, "We suck." Because we were losing to a team like Arkansas. And then all I turned around, my next text I got from Bark was, "Oh, are we like that?" And I was like,
I got a fun series of text messages too from one Will Root that at the 8-minute mark, according to him, because I was working when this happened, so I had to ask him when these happened. I looked at the timestamp. It said 9-9 in the SEC. And then about 30 minutes later, it said Final Four. So
I love the what's the word? The velocity, not the velocity. What's the word?
Duality?
Not duality. It's like when something's unpredictable. It starts with a V. There's something. If you know it in the chat, let me know. I'll bring it up in a second. That's a word.
The variance?
No. Just let me speak. I'm just gonna go duality, just for that's kind of what I'm referring to. Of an Auburn fan when they're losing to an Auburn fan when they're winning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and even losing is just actually probably a more comfortable place than winning, because losing you're like, oh man, I'm gonna be angry, and then winning you're like, how are we gonna blow this? Which is just like sports fandom in general. That's not unique to Auburn, but it's funny.
But it was a great game all around, and you could honestly see it from the players. Katie Johnson had fun in this game. Wendell Green had a lot of fun watching it. Volatile. Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Thank you. Oh, my God. I said that word a lot, too, and that annoyed me that I didn't think of it. But Katie Johnson had fun. Wendell Green had fun. Jabari Smith had fun because I believe he tweeted out, and I quote, "Dance on the pig."
Dog.
Further explaining my love for Jabari Smith. I wish he was on Thunder. But I'm not upset with Chad Holmgren right now. But this Arkansas team, they kind of messed up the trajectory of where Musselman was taking this team. They were Elite 8 last year, I believe. Were they Elite 8 or Sweet 16 last year?
Elite
I
8.
think they were Elite 8. Took them there based on a great freshman class. Then this year, spent all that time building in the transfer portal. Got a lot of players from the portal, and the team just has not meshed well thus far. Now 9-5. Yeah, I hate it for him so much.
Really, my heart hurts for Eric Musselman and that Arkansas fan base. They're such good folk, and they're always so respectful and make this rivalry so friendly. I really, really wish them nothing but the worst. I'm telling you, folks, like, I have no problem with Arkansas in literally anything except for basketball. Like, I cannot stand Arkansas basketball.
Well, per scores, based on the, football and basketball, it does seem that Auburn owns that state.
Yes, no, absolutely. The only exception being their ultra spring sports, being the diamond sports, in which they're both very good. But yeah, no, Arkansas, little brother syndrome. I don't on a lot of levels. I'm just gonna be real.
And this game does kind of go into the next game going on, and the fact that Auburn now has to play against
Buzz.
And again, a coach that has had BP's number for a hot minute now.
Yeah, if you're as scared as hell in the chat, let me know. I'll raise my hand and go ahead and tell you that I'm nervous about that one.
Yeah, that game will of course preview during the Tuesday show, so that'll be coming out on that game will be happening on Tuesday. Wade Taylor IV, still a member of that team, is a terrifying player to go up against. So that game is going to be a very fun game as well. That game is back in Neville Arena. Tickets are as low as $40 right now.
Yeah,
but I believe that's standing room only.
Yeah, it's SRO for sure. Yeah, your cheapest seat's always SRO at the Nev. Let me just throw this out there real quick. If Auburn loses and snaps their home winning streak against Texas A&M this week on Wednesday, I'm going to be one unhappy camper. I think a lot of you guys are. But if Auburn beats A&M and they beat them handedly, I'm going to be booging at a dangerously high rate. I just want to go ahead and tell everybody. I'm going to go buy my own orange and blue glasses.
Actually, I have replaced mine.
Have you?
I don't think anybody's prepared. I'm gonna exit the frame and I'll be back because no one's prepared for this. I'm a theatrical person. So
Dylan's about to actually rip his headphones out of his computer. But while he does that, I'm going to explain to you guys. Auburn is holy hell. What am I looking at?
These are the new bug glasses.
What is happening? Someone screenshot this and tweet hashtag the college loop out of context.
Yes.
No context, the college loop. Someone start the Twitter account. This is worth it. That will be me, though. That will be me if Auburn wins on Wednesday. And I'm probably going to pick them to win, to be honest with you, because this group is clicking at a rate that I haven't seen in a couple of years. My only concern is are they figuring things out too quickly? And yes, I'm allowed to nitpick because right now all of us should be as an Auburn community and go win the natty mode. That's where you should be right now. And this team has the makings of a team that could be really, really good in March if they get hot at the right time. I was talking to some friends today. They asked me about the state of Auburn basketball, a couple of Georgia friends. And I said, look, here's the reality. This team's got the goods. And, looking at the box score from yesterday alone and just kind of chatting with some friends before even watching film, I felt good speaking on those grounds. This team's got the goods. It's a matter of can they get hot at the right time. It's usually not even the best team that wins the national championship. It's the best team that gets hot going into the tournament. So this team needs to save its peak for early March and get rolling from there, SEC tournament and beyond. Because I think this group could be really special, and they've got to prove it to me on Wednesday because that's really going to be your Achilles heel. And you could face Buzz and the Must Bust both a total of a combined 5 times this year, counting the SEC tournament. So you got to make sure you can check your boxes there and if you're going to lose to these guys, get them out of the way in the regular season. So We'll see how that goes. I'm going to let you roll over into women's basketball once again. I'm sorry, guys. I have been busy as hell at the office trying to take care of some stuff for our student athletes as they return at the Division III level. You can imagine everybody wears a lot of hats. So I've been switching my hats by the hour, by the half hour even. in terms of getting these young ladies ready to go out and perform at a high level this season. Yes, my job as creative director. No, that does not mean I'm not still boots on the ground. I'm still very much involved in our athletics department and helping them get in the right trajectory. I've got a great team around me. So, Dylan, I'm going to let you cook on women's basketball.
Yeah, women's basketball started off this SEC conference schedule off very rough, 0-2 start. Had Tennessee in the bag for a good little bit, but the third quarter came. I'm trying to remember the lead exactly. It was like a double-digit lead going into halftime. The third quarter came around. Auburn could not make a singular shot, and that meshed over into the fourth quarter as well, and just could not get anything done against Tennessee. But showed signs of they can compete at the high levels of the SEC. But then in walks Texas A&M and Aisha Coulibaly. Aisha Coulibaly being a former Auburn Tiger herself, who ended up leading A&M in scoring with 14 points. She also put up 2 steals, 3 assists, and 5 rebounds. Auburn just could not get anything going. Oscar Grayson was the only one who who scored in double digits with 15. Jemai Milgun put up 9. Taylon Collins put up 8, and then Marshawn Boston put up 8 off the bench. But other than that, Savannah Scott did not really do much. You also had Caitlin Duhan did not put up a single point. Marshawn Boston McKenna Eddings didn't put up a single point. Sydney Shaw also had 0 points as well. Auburn shot 1 for 9 from the 3-point line. Thought 30% from the field as a whole. This game, just nothing, and I mean nothing, went Coach J's favor against Texas A&M.
Yeah, and look, you're starting out 0-2 in the conference. I'm not saying it's unexpected, but the collapse against Tennessee, while it was a collapse, is still promising. The A&M game is disappointing on a number of levels, starting really with the fact that you wanted to shove it to a young lady that left the program for whatever reason you want to speculate. But we've all heard the speculation about how much you wanted to kind of stick it to her and show her that this program is going to heights it had not been to before. That being said, Dylan, it's tough to look at this schedule up ahead and say that Auburn's gonna get the opportunity to snag that SEC win soon. Obviously, you get Vanderbilt a couple times here in the next handful of games, but at the same time, there's no such thing as an easy win in the SEC. And Auburn's got to find ways to close games. It's kind of been their MO, not just this year in their losses, but last year as well. Is you're able to hang with the team and then you get out depth. Look, that's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen really until next year. And when you finally got a full roster, it's year 3 of a rebuild, but a lot of people are starting to look and say, okay, so when's Auburn going to start making those steps? And they've not made them in conference play yet. Now, they had a great non-conference slate. It doesn't hurt that you had an easy non-conference slate, but you've got to take those steps to continue to be able to compete for 4 quarters. And let's be honest, how many times did we look last year and say, if you could delete the third quarter, Auburn wins this ball game handedly? It happens a lot. It's something about coming out of halftime flat. And until that improves, this team's going to have a rough go of it in the SEC.
Well, let's not forget, in just 7 days, they'll take on Angel Reese
and the reigning national champion LSU.
Reigning national championship winning LSU Tigers. Before we get into the rest of the show, just want to throw up some of these comments we got. I'm trying to think. So I got Brad Browning. Have y'all heard anything about Bailey Tanner? I think Tanner Bailey. I looked it up. Transfer quarterback from South Carolina. He's got Auburn University in his IG bio. I would love to know how y'all just find people's Instagram bios for random portal quarterbacks. And then B, I've never heard of Tanner Bailey in my life. And
I was about to say the same thing.
That's probably just me not doing my due process and looking stuff up. He didn't play for South Carolina very much. I think he had maybe a carry or 2. From my knowledge, I don't think he did not play. I don't even think he was the backup. He might have been third string behind Rattler. And is Doty still there? I swear Luke Doty's been there as well. Let's see. Also got Janice Patterson. What's up, Keionte Scott? Is he in the portal or not? This is confusing in some ways. He is, but he's Keionte Scott is in the portal.
He's 100%.
He's in the portal, but he left leeway for him to return as well. Let's see. Michael Scusiano. Hey, so is anyone asking the question, or does anyone know what happened with the personnel decisions at the end of recruiting and portal as the KJ, I think Bolden and AJ Harris and departures with timing makes me wonder there. Recruiting is very fluid. You're going to have players that you go very high for and other players that you don't. It happens. It's not something I'm going to panic about right off the bat. And then the last couple ones, who is expected next OC? The favorite I've been hearing is Derek Nix from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That's just from the start of the show.
No. Robert Champion said, what about Celia for QB? No. Just no. I think if that was going to happen, that was going to happen last year, by the way.
This supposedly it takes 48 hours from them to split the name, or Auburn has 48 hours to submit his name once he notifies the compliance department. There's a set date you have to put your name in the portal, and then you have, I think it's 48 to 72 hours that the university has to announce it, meaning they have that amount of time to fix it. Like, converse with the player. Hey, we don't want you to leave. That kind of thing happened, and that's what happened with Keionte. So, again, he left room for him to return, and as I said before during the show, earlier on the show as well, no idea what's going on with Jason Jones yet.
And Brad Browning circling back. Somebody brought it up on Locked On in Auburn with Zach Blackerby either yesterday or this morning on Tanner Bailey. I'll be honest with you. One, I'll be candid. I haven't listened to Locked On in probably 2 weeks. Just gonna be honest with you. I haven't listened to LOA since the end of the regular season much, not routinely. So that Blackerby may know something that we don't. It's 100% in the cards. But I've not heard anything. Tanner, this is honestly the first time I've heard anything about Tanner Bailey. And usually if there's real traction, there'd be smoke. I mean, there's also the chance that if you're not going to play ball and you want to transfer for academics, so kids will do that. Like that will happen. And Brad Browning mentioned also JG Tate said Keionte Scott is not in the portal. I'm just going to go and say it. Maybe JG knows something I don't.
I've not heard anything. Looking through maybe I'll look at the War Report Slack real quick and see if we've missed anything potentially.
I have been on the golf course today, so I mean, that could have happened. When played 18, I did not live on my phone. I'll be honest with you, it's been nice to have a little break. Yeah.
I've not. Nothing I've heard says it, but also it's not maybe something going on Twitter. No one's really talking. He's in the portal. Maybe he's not.
As far as we know, Keionte Scott's in the portal.
Yeah, as far as we know, he is in the portal. But I don't want to panic just yet. If he announces commitment to A&M just to go over there and be with Wesley McGriff, that's going to scare me.
Answer to this is Peyton Thorne. If you had to bet on it, who starts the quarterback versus Alabama A&M, we got to get through spring camp and fall camp. But I'm going to guess Peyton Thorne right now.
Yeah, Peyton Thorne is, I believe, the favorite, followed by Holden Garner, and then Hank Brown and Walker White, in that order. JG said it after the basketball game yesterday. I've not heard anything about Keionte Scott being out of the portal, and I'm pretty regular on Twitter. 24/7 Sports, if Robbie Ashford lists as a portal at 100% chance to returning to Auburn, he's not. Sorry, he's not. Would love him to, because I think he gives an extra element to the offense. I don't think Robbie Ashford's returning to Auburn in 2024. He's going to look great as a Utah Ute, though, I will say. And I know that probably hurts Teresa being of the Pac-12 a little bit, but I do believe Robbie Ashford is going to the Utah Utes. If I had to bet, and strictly because I want to do an NCAA 24 dynasty with the Utah Utes and Robbie Ashford and Landon King as my running back, as my quarterback wide receiver duo, because that's going to be some cheese in a video game situation.
RPO, little RPO action in Utah.
Oh, dude, it's going to be so fun. But while we're still, y'all can ask questions about football. If we'll have time after the show, y'all can still throw us questions. We'll be here as long as y'all want us here. But I can move on to baseball for a second. Tar, I don't know if you know this, but we're getting very close to baseball season.
It's right around the corner, baby. I'm excited.
Auburn starting off the season as the number 15 team in the country. Number 7 in the SEC.
Yeah.
Eight if you count Texas, but 7th in the SEC. But it's a great starting point for a team that didn't get ranked until halfway through the season last year.
Right. It's a loaded conference, and it's a very top heavy conference. Or not top heavy conference, but top heavy league, in collegiate baseball. But I mean, 15 is right where you want to be for Auburn. They got a ton of returners, ton of exciting young talent. A lot of people wondering how Joga is going to perform coming off injury this year, especially after kind of shutting things down last year. I like where this is at right now. I think that this team is poised to make a run at hosting a regional, if not a super regional this year. So I'm very, very excited. I like that a lot, where they're at in terms of 15. I think that's appropriate. I do. So we'll a lot of room for growth still, right? But not expectations of being at the floor of the SEC. Now can they hold their own through the non-con slate before they really lock in for SEC play? We've seen this before. We've seen this movie. I'm reliving a nightmare of losing a weekend series to UCF. I've been there when we've lost to Jack State. So lots of moving parts there, but I'm very, very excited for this group. Enrique Bradfield, I think, is poised to have probably the strongest second year of the group in terms of I'm really, really excited and high on what he can do.
Yeah, and of course, I think we're both in agreement that Auburn baseball might be the closest sport to winning a national championship of the major ones. I think. Would you agree in that?
I just said Enrique Bradfield as if he's not in the pros right now from Vanderbilt. Who am I mixing him up with? Left field, help me. I was watching Enrique Bradfield highlights last night. I'm not going to lie to you. Continue.
Because
rephrase your question.
We're good. I was saying Auburn baseball is probably the closest of the major sports programs at Auburn to the national championship.
Disagree?
Or do you
as it stands right here? I think they're neck and neck with Chris Stanfield. There's my mix-up. I'm sorry. That was going to drive me nuts. I was thinking.
I thought you were talking about Vanderbilt left fielder.
Enrique Bradfield was a center fielder, Gold Glover, who's now in the bigs. All pro.
We're great friends with him. Remember we talked.
We are. This is actually his third year out, so I should be going to the bigs after this. But neither here nor there. Yeah, my bad. You can see where the mix-up was there. I was thinking speedy outfielder. With a quick bat.
And we'll get drafted very early.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. No. With a ton of upside. Yeah. I think that they're neck and neck with basketball as it stands this year. I think as a program holistically, you're probably right. But I think that in terms of talent level for both of these squads, both of them should have pretty fun springs.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And last tidbit to go over before if we open up the floor to questions. I see Teresa, Utah's no longer the Pac-2. I was hoping that Robbie Ashford replaced Frank Harris at UTSA.
Isn't Frank Harris 37?
He up there. But very good quarterback, though. That would have been fun as well, especially if it's 24. Rebuild UTSA again with Robbie Ashford. Also be very fun. But regardless, Auburn Gymnastics did compete last night, came in third behind Alabama and Cal. Did beat UCLA, though, which I find that as a huge win. Beat them by 0.05.
And Auburn posted a 196.6 flat.
Yeah.
In their first meet. That's a great benchmark.
And their lowest score didn't come from vault, which is a tremendous accomplishment, I must say. But they did score their lowest on beam, which does suck. And there was a lot of issues with beam from the preview meet.
Y'all forgive me. This might be just a vibes comment, but I also feel like beam is one of those you get better as the year goes on.
Oh yeah.
Like not just in terms of reps, but like beam is one of those routines. As you have more time to work on them and decide what you're going to throw throughout the year, just based on how your first handful of a couple meets go, your beam scores get more consistent. What was promising to me is like you mentioned, Dylan, the vault.
Yeah, and beam again. It takes time to get, pun intended, your feet settled, find your footing, even one of those two. But Auburn did perform very well. You beat one of the blue bloods of gymnastics in UCLA. Bama does have a very good gymnastics program. The ergonomics of the airplane hangar make it very good to practice gymnastics in. And of course, their highest one, of course, if you were is bars. Shocker there. I believe Cassie Stevens went to the national championship for bars.
Taxes and Auburn being good on bars.
Floor second, then vault, and then beam But everyone pretty much assumed bars and floor are going to be where they make their money, and that's where they do. Because Auburn has a very talented roster of gymnasts. It's very promising to see them throw up this high of a score in their first meet without, De'Aaron Goborn and Suni Lee. So officially showing that they're not just those two, which I really enjoyed the statement.
Find your dynamite. What'd I say?
I mean, it does look like it's going to be. I believe Sophia Groth posted a 9.9.
How about Sarah Hubbard too?
Yes, I was about to get there.
Glue guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Sophia Groth put up a 9.9 on bars. Cassie Stevens put up a 9.925 as well on that. Araya Bush put the R in there. Put up a 9.8. Gabby McLaughlin put up a 9.8 on bars. And freshman Bren Bartman put up a 9.3 on bars as well. So showing off the wide variety of these girls. A lot of them are names that already are names within the program. Olivia Hollingsworth, I put up a career high 9.9 on bars as well, just showing off how good Auburn is at bars. I'm trying to find the vault scores, but I'm on their Twitter page, so that's probably not the best thing to be doing.
Yeah, it's not the fastest method of locating rotational scores.
Yeah, that I should have realized as soon as I tried to scroll down.
Yeah, it's easier just to look at the box score. But
I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, there you go. As Dylan does that, I'm going to go ahead and start kind of unwinding this, winding down, since it doesn't look like we have a ton of questions funneling in. If you guys want to continue to support the show, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the YouTube channel. That is the number one way you can do us a solid and help us out with our growth. Drop a comment on your thoughts if you're listening to this after the show. Tweet at us if you're listening on a streaming platform after the show. And make sure that you are, if you're listening on a streaming platform, giving us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so we continue to grow the College Loop brand and the Looper family. You guys are the best listeners in the world. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely mean it. This is the best community that we are so proud to have ever built. Better than we could have ever dreamed. You guys are absolute rock stars. If you guys want to continue to support the show, make sure you head over to thewarreport.com and pick up your very own College Loop War Report Podcast Network co-branded Feel and Loopy t-shirt. Comes in 5 different colorways. Most comfortable shirt you will ever own. And if you don't want to type that into the search bar at thewarreport.com, it's okay. We have it in the description to each of our shows on whatever platform you may find it best on. If you pick up your very own Feel and Loopy shirt, make sure you use hashtag Feel and Loopy. That's feeling without the G on whatever social media platform you use the most, you prefer the best, and tag us, and we will make sure we throw up your selfie of you and your College Loop War Report co-branded Feel and Loopy t-shirt on the next stream, show, whatever that may be. Thank you guys for your continual love and support. You guys are dogs, absolute madmen and women, mad people, and we love you guys for it. You guys are the best community we could have ever built. Dylan, did you find the box score, since I went ahead and knocked that one out of the way?
Yeah, I was looking at the vault scores. Sarah Hubbard led the way with a 9.8. Then you had Sydney Shoemaker put up a 9.8 as well. Huff Hollingsworth 9.8 as well. I think could be all this on 1 sentence. I'm reading the press release. Stevens 9.7 on the vault. So great scores. Great scores to start off with on a rotation that definitely needed a step up. I just want to shout out everybody. If you have not been to an Auburn gym meet ever, I highly recommend you do so. It's a lot of fun. Only an hour and a half. I think standing room only is the only thing available, but you're not sitting up for very long, and you're having fun the entire time. They're a blast,
and they're interactive as hell.
Yeah, and you're going to see the first home meet is, of course, this Friday against number 9 Kentucky. So not only are you getting to watch Auburn Gymnastics, but you're going to watch Auburn Gymnastics in what could be a nail biter. It's going to be on this Friday. It's going to be at 7:30 p.m. And if you can't make it, watch on television.
SEC Network.
Yep.
That should do it for the College Loop live stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app and on Instagram. If you guys want to come hang out, give me your thoughts, give me your opinions, your hot takes. Thank you guys so much for continual love and support of the show. I already shouted out where you can find us everywhere. Dylan will tell you where you can find us on the social media platforms. Surprise, surprise. We do not hide. You can find us. We're around. Anyways, until then, until the Tuesday show, yes. When we give our breakdown of Auburn, everything under the sun, we will. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Have a great rest of your evening, and take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Dylan, let's get out of here.
Of course. I'm Dylan Larck at Tank on Twitter/X. You can also find me on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLARCK. And then spell it out for you for Twitter at your boy Tank at YABOY the Tank. And of course, you can find us you can find me right here on the College Loop. Just like, comment, subscribe, leave some likes for the stream, subscribe if you've not already. I would like to hit 800 so we can feed Colin again, because apparently he really likes food. We gotta get him some.
He's hungry
soonish. Words are hard. If you want to follow us on any of the social media, you have us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, the works, all of those at the College Loop. And of course, if you're tired of seeing our face, it's completely understandable. But we have audio versions of the show out as well on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, Amazon Music. And of course, all that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening if you're not part of the live stream. And with all that being said, this has been the College Loop Podcast.
Love you guys.
There it is.